Hello, crystals. Welcome back to my channel, Crystal Creative Minds. If you're new here, this is your space for powerful stories, creative inspiration, and mind-opening content that brings imagination to life, film, and ideas. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an amazing story or creative drop from us. Let's dive into today's story together. Rocket and Stars. Once upon a time, in the village of Asaba, there lived a young man named Joshua Adewale Okonkwo with his grandparents, Adebisola Okonkwo and Korade Okonkwo. They all lived together peacefully after the tragic death of Joshua's parents years earlier. Every day, Joshua's grandmother went to the village market square to sell goods. By around 3:30 p.m., she would pack what was left of her goods and provisions, then head to her farm to grow crops. After farming, she would return home with both her unsold goods and the vegetables she had harvested. At home, Joshua took care of his sick grandfather, who had been ill for 6 months. He cooked hot soups and herbal meals for him, fed him, and made sure he slept well. After preparing everything, Joshua would pack his tools before sunrise and leave for work. His job had no shelter. He worked under the scorching sun, in the rain, and even during cold, cloudy days, standing at the roadside waiting for customers to clean their shoes. Some days he stood for hours without a single person calling him. Despite this, he remained diligent, hoping to earn enough to survive. Many times, Joshua returned home exhausted, dropped the little money he made on the table, sweat dripping down his face, and went straight to sleep. Not because he was not hungry, but because he wanted his grandparents and sick grandfather to eat first.
One day, his grandmother sat him down and said, "My son, you cannot continue like this. I know you will say you are fine, but you and I both know something is missing in your life." She was talking about marriage. It was not the first time she had raised the topic.
Joshua replied, "Mama, no girl will want to marry a struggling man like me. Most girls today want money, fame, and status. I cannot give them that. It is better I focus on my career first." His grandmother sighed and said, "You have said this many times."
I once thought it was not the right time, but now time is running out. Do you want to end up like your father? Joshua remained silent.
She continued, "Advise yourself and choose wisely." Then she stood up and walked away calmly, like someone who already understood life deeply. Joshua sighed, packed his things, and decided to change his working location. He went to a busier place, Ilaje bus stop, where more people passed. Unlike before, he got a few customers between 5 and 8 people, which encouraged him.
One day, a young female live streamer came to him and rudely ordered him to clean her shoes quickly. While cleaning, Joshua began asking her questions, her name and what she did for a living. She found him irritating
And strange.
especially because of his dark, polish-stained hands and worn-out clothes. She called him a weirdo, removed her feet from the stool, and left without paying him.
Joshua went home feeling humiliated, but later comforted himself, believing it was because he was inexperienced with girls. That evening, he told his grandmother about his day. She smiled slightly and said nothing but went out to buy groceries. When she returned, they all ate together, including his grandfather, and for once, there was even leftover food. The next morning, Joshua woke up earlier than usual. It was still dark, and he decided to go back to sleep. Suddenly, he heard the door opening quietly. He got up and followed the sound into the kitchen. At first, he could not see clearly, but when light came on, he saw it was his grandmother. She explained she was going to work early so she would not wake him and his grandfather. Joshua insisted on following her, and she reluctantly agreed. At the bus stop, they separated, and Joshua worked as usual, cleaning shoes for customers. While cleaning his last customer's shoes, a 23-year-old woman named Blessing Okafor was nearby selling chilled bottled water. Suddenly, she slipped, and all her bottles scattered onto the muddy ground. She quickly bent down to pick them up. Joshua felt pity and joined her. Together, they gathered all the bottles and took them to a nearby tap to wash and rinse them. People mocked and laughed at them, but they ignored the insults. Blessing treated Joshua with kindness and respect, which surprised him. After finishing, she thanked him. "Thank you for helping me," Joshua replied. "You're welcome." They began talking, and after a few minutes, they exchanged contacts and went their separate ways. That afternoon, Joshua told his grandmother about Blessing. She smiled knowingly and said nothing, which confused him. Over the next few days, Joshua and Blessing began meeting frequently. One day, Joshua asked her out, and to his surprise, she agreed. They scheduled their date for the following Thursday at 3 o'clock. Joshua spent days preparing what he would say. On the morning of the date, he woke up at 2:54 a.m., excited and nervous. He bathed, wore a suit he had bought, and by 2:58 p.m. he was ready. His grandmother prayed for him before he left. At the restaurant Mama and Nkechi's Kitchen, Blessing was already waiting. They ordered food, including echo and pepper soup, pap and akara, sweet corn and coconut, tuwo shinkafa and begiri, kulikuli and groundnut, moi moi and gari smoked fish and ofada rice, goat meat and bush meat, nkwobi and beef, palm wine and smoked jollof. They laughed, ate, and enjoyed themselves for the first time together. Joshua felt a deep sense of companionship beyond his grandparents. After the date, Joshua insisted on walking Blessing home. She reluctantly agreed. After an hour of walking and talking, they reached her house. She thanked him, and he returned home. His grandmother asked how it went. Joshua replied, "It went well. I even walked her home." She nodded and asked, "Do you have her contact?" "Yes," he replied. "Good," she said simply. That night, Joshua texted Blessing, but she was offline. He still sent a hello message before sleeping. Weeks passed and their bond grew stronger. Soon, Joshua asked her to be his girlfriend, and she happily agreed. They spent time together, sharing small joys like feeding each other cupcakes. Then, 2 weeks later, everything changed. One hot morning, a jeep entered the village. 3 muscular men stepped out and asked, "Where is Joshua?" The villagers were confused and pointed toward his small home. They marched there and knocked loudly. Inside, Joshua's grandmother panicked. "What did you do? What did you steal?" Joshua replied, "Mama, I did nothing wrong." The men announced they were sent to deliver news about his parents' will. They handed him a document titled Last Will and Testament. It revealed that Joshua's parents had left him a family house in Green Valley Estate, farmland in Okeodo Village savings, investments and business assets, vehicles, books, furniture, and heirlooms. They also left him with a message about integrity, kindness, humility, and legacy. Joshua cried deeply while reading it. His grandmother also cried and comforted him. The men apologized and left. 2 days later, the news spread across the village. Some people began wondering what he would do with the inheritance. The following morning, they prepared for the journey. Joshua packed their belongings. His grandfather sat quietly waiting, smiling softly. They prayed before leaving. Joshua locked their old house and said, "Goodbye home. We are going to a better life, but I will never forget where I started." They entered a car heading to Blessing's house before continuing the journey. Blessing was already waiting outside with her luggage. She joined them in the car. Joshua sat beside her, his grandmother drove, and his grandfather sat in front. They all agreed to go to Lagos. The journey was long but joyful. They laughed, shared stories, and planned their future. When they arrived in Lagos, Joshua was amazed by the city's size, energy, and life. Months later, Joshua and Blessing got married in a grand ceremony at Sunshine Avenue, Lekki. Friends, family, and villagers attended. 2 years later, they had a daughter named Annabelle Okonkwo Adewale, whom they loved deeply.
Joshua used part of his inheritance to build a modern home for his family and ensured Blessing's parents were also comfortable. His grandmother was proud, and his grandfather's health improved in the peaceful environment. Joshua had transformed from a poor shoe shiner to a successful young man. One evening, standing outside his new home with Blessing and their child playing inside, Joshua smiled and said, "Everything started from nothing, but look where we are today." They all went inside to eat together as a family. Moral lesson. Setbacks are not the end, they are setups for a greater future. With patience, hard work, humility, and faith, anyone can rise from nothing to something meaningful.
I hope you enjoyed the story. Thank you for watching Crystal Creative Minds. If you loved this tale, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more captivating stories that inspire, entertain, and spark imagination. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new upload, and drop a comment below to let us know your favorite part of the story or what you'd like to hear next. Until next time, stay creative, stay inspired, and keep believing in the magic of stories. Crystal Creative Mind.